Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to day 5, composite figures, perimeter, and area. Okay, and so we are just going to continue building and getting a little bit more complex. We started with angles, then we looked at right triangles and Pythagorean theorem, and now we are going to be finding the perimeter and the area of composite figures. Well, what is a composite figure, you might ask? Okay, so I'm going to start off by giving you a definition. And again, composite figures is a pretty simple concept. A composite figure is one that cannot be classified as a single polygon or as a circle, okay? So, in other words, a composite figure is not just a regular shape. Instead, it's an irregular shape, and oftentimes it includes various other shapes. So it might be, think about a house, right? A house has a rectangle at the bottom, but it also has a triangle at the top. That is a composite figure. So it is a figure that is composed of more than one shape, all right? Now, a couple other terms that you just need to make sure you know is perimeter and area, okay? Those two terms are different, okay? The perimeter is the outside of a figure. When I say outside, I'm meaning the outside length, okay, of a figure. Whereas the perimeter is the amount of space inside of a figure. So the space inside. And in a moment, I'm gonna walk you through how to find each of those, but those are the key terms. Again, you've heard these terms before, right? Perimeter, outside of the figure, you're gonna be adding up all the sides. Area is the inside, and for those, you actually are gonna be giving the formulas, and you will just have to apply those, okay? So for this, these are not all of the formulas, but these are the ones that you're gonna need to know really for today and ones that we're gonna be focusing on, all right? So area is, again, the inside, and so we find the inside by multiplying the length times the width, okay? The perimeter is the outside, and so because I have L as the length and the width is W, and I have two L's, because again, I have both of these sides, and then these two other sides, I'm gonna have to do 2 times the length plus 2 times the width, and that'll give me all 4 of these sides. Because again, just think, there's an L there, there's a W there, and if I add up those sides, it's L plus W plus L plus W, and that gives me the formula 2L plus W. Okay. For a triangle, okay, so that is for a rectangle. Next, we have the formula for a triangle, okay? A triangle is 1/2 times the base times the height, okay? So 1/2 BH, all right? For a triangle, to find the perimeter, you just add up the sides, and there is no formula because each of these sides might be different, okay? Next, we have a parallelogram. Okay, and for a parallelogram, okay, what you're going to do is you are just going to multiply the base times the height. So the area is the base times the height. Multiplying the base times the height. And the bases are the same here. Okay? For parallelogram, there's no formula for perimeter. You're just going to add up all the sides outside. For a trapezoid, now trapezoid is different. Okay, so a trapezoid, the formula for a trapezoid is 1/2 times the height, and then times base 1 plus base 2, okay? So base 1 plus base 2, again, in a trapezoid, you have these bases are different lengths, okay? For the formula for the perimeter, you just add up all the sides. There's no formula there. And then lastly, for a circle, okay, to find the area, you are going to do pi r squared, and the r is the radius, all right? And then the perimeter of a circle, that is actually called the circumference, okay? So that is called the circumference, and we label that C. Circumference is the outside of a circle. Again, it is the perimeter, right? So circumference, this is the word that I'm saying. Circumference equals the perimeter of a circle. Okay, so instead of using P, it is C, and there's actually two formulas. You can multiply the pi times the diameter, and pi is 3.14. Usually we're going to use that. And then or if I have the radius, I do 2 pi r. Okay, and so there's two formulas for that. Guys, you're going to be given this note sheet. So I know that is a lot, but here's what you need to know. You don't need to memorize this because you're going to be given all of this information. All you need to do is just know how to use it, right? And so when to use what formula. And so that is how, those are the formulas that you will need, all right? Now, let's talk about some steps of how to find the perimeter, okay? So step one is you're going to find the length of the missing sides. Okay, so you're going to find the lengths of any sides that you are missing, and then you're just going to add them all up. Okay, most of the times you're going to be giving them all, but not all the time. Sometimes they might be missing, and you know, you need to do step one. Sometimes you have all the sides and you don't need to do step one. Okay, but you need to make sure that you have all of your sides, because you're going to find the perimeter. That's the outside. Then you need to add them all up. Okay, steps for finding the area. Now, again, friends, there's a lot of steps. It's not hard, but there's just a lot to do here. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to divide our figure into shapes that we know how to find the area of. In other words, we're taking this house and we're going to divide it into maybe a square and a triangle, right? We're breaking it down into shapes that we know, right? Step two is we're going to write down the formulas that we need in order to find each shape. So that way, I can, all right, now if I got this triangle, what's the formula for triangle? All right, I got this rectangle or this square, what's the formula for rectangle, okay? Once you do that, you're gonna label the parts of your drawing with the measurements needed, okay? So in other words, if I have a triangle, right, I know my formula is 1/2 base times height, so I need to make sure I know what my base is, gotta make sure I know what my height is, right? If I have a rectangle, right, I gotta make sure I know what my length is, gotta make sure I know what my width. So that's what labeling means. Right? Step 4 is we are going to substitute, okay? Now we're gonna substitute in for those measurements. So I'm gonna take my base and I'm gonna plug it into the formula. So all you're doing is plugging it in and now finding the area of each piece. And then you're just gonna add those areas together, okay? So here are our steps, okay? This is gonna walk you through how to do it. This is for area of a composite figure, all right? So that is all the notes. I know that's a lot there, but let's start applying it to some examples, okay? So example number 1, okay? So in this example, we are going to find the perimeter and the area. Remember, perimeter is the outside, so the perimeter is the easiest one. I'm just gonna add up all the sides, okay? So let's just make sure, do I have all the sides that I need, okay? Step 1 is to find any missing ones. Well, this is 20, okay? Got that. That's 22, got that. That's 16, got that. This side is 11. This side, oh, that's 2, so I had that. This side is 4, got it. 6 and 7. So there's no missing, right? So in order to find the perimeter, I'm just gonna add up all of those sides together. So I'm just gonna do 20 plus 22 plus 16 plus, and again, if I were you when I'm doing that, I would just start and go around the side. Plus 11 plus 2 plus 4 plus 6 and then plus 7. All right, so I add up all of those numbers. You take your calculator or Desmos and you add up all of those, and I want you to put your answer there, and the answer is 88. And we got to always include our unit, which is inches. So it's 88 inches once you add up all of those numbers. All right, to find the area. Now, the area, to find it, we got to start. Step 1 is we got to divide this shape into shapes that we know, right? So we don't have a formula for this type of shape, but what we do have the formula is for rectangles, okay? So now listen, I'm gonna show you the way I would do it. Here's the beauty about this. You can do this any way that you want, right? So if you wanna break these shapes up differently, that is totally fine, all right? So there's many ways to solve these problems. I'm gonna show you the way that I would break it up. So in this one, I would break that up right there, okay? And then what I would do is I would draw a line here, okay? So now I have, this is 7 and 6, that's a rectangle, even though it looks like a square, it's a rectangle. Then I have, this is another rectangle, then I have another rectangle. So I have pretty much 3 rectangles. And so my formula for an area of a rectangle is length times width. So I'm going to do length times width here, length times width there, length times width there. So I'm just going to go ahead and write that 3 times because I'm going to need to do that for each shape. Okay. So let's look at this first one. The first one, area is length times width, or this is the length, this is the width. So it's just going to be, now I'm on to step 3, where actually, step 2, you know, what I could do is I could draw each of these so that they're separate, right? And then label each piece. Okay. So again, I'm labeling, this is 7, this is 6. On this one, again, this one is this one right here. Okay, so that's that one. This is this one. All right, this whole thing is 20. But I don't have this whole thing. I gotta figure out what this piece of that is, okay? And the way I figure that out is, well, this little piece right here is 2. And then I know this whole thing is 16. So this piece right there is 14. All right, so this piece is 14. And again, I got that because this whole thing is 16. This whole thing is 16. And I knew that this little piece was 2. So that is 14. All right. In terms of this side right here, okay, well, I know this part is 7, and I know that this part right here is 4, so 7 and 4, that is 11, okay? So 11 is my length, 14 is my width, okay? Then let's look at this piece, okay? So for this piece, I got that the width is 16, and then the length is 11, okay? So I'm gonna just plug it into my formula. So I got 7 times 6, okay? 7 times 6 is gonna give me 42. So 42 is the area inside of that shape. For this one, length is 11 times the width is 14. 11 times 14, when I multiply that, I'm gonna get 154. Okay, that's the area of that piece. Then I'm going to do 11, right? Length times width, I'm going to do 11 times 16, okay? And when I multiply that, I'm going to get 176, okay? And so, again, what I have found is I have found the area of this piece, which is 42, this piece, which is 154, this piece, which is 176, and then the final step is to add that all together, okay? So I'm doing 42 plus 154 plus 176. And when I add all of that together, I'm gonna end with 372. Now area, the unit for that is inches squared, okay? So that is my answer for that one, all right? So, here's what I want you to do. For number 2, I want you to start by, figuring out, all right, how are we going to break this up? What shapes are we going to divide this into? All right, what shapes are we going to divide it into? Well, you may be thinking, I can divide it this way and get this rectangle. Okay, so that's one way you could do it, which is a way that I'm going to suggest. All right, you also, now this is going to be a triangle regardless, so I could come down and divide that and make that sort of a triangle. Okay, so now I got this rectangle here, I got another rectangle here at the bottom, and then I have this triangle. Okay, so I got that rectangle, I got that triangle, and then I got another rectangle. Okay, so let me shift that. Let me shift this down so I have a little bit of room to. Okay, and so now I got to figure out. Okay, well, my formulas for each of these. Area of a rectangle. Again, I'm just thinking of, I know these off the top of my head, but you can look back at the formula sheet. Matter of fact, pause it. I want you to write down, what's the formula for each of these? What am I going to need to use? All right, length times width. Area of a triangle is 1/2 base times the height. Okay, and then area of a rectangle is length times the width. All right, so now I need to label each of my pieces, okay, because for this I need the length and the width. Well, this length is 2, okay, because it's up here. Now the width, okay, this whole thing is 14. Okay? But for this one, I don't have 14. 14 is this whole thing. I only have this piece, all right? Well, if I know that this piece is 4, right, and this whole thing is 14, then that tells me that this part of it is just 10, right? So the width of this is 10, okay? All right, now, so that is the length and the width. Then for the triangle, okay, I know that this piece is 2 right here, and I knew that this whole thing is 8, so that tells me that that piece must be 6, okay? So the base of my triangle is 6, all right? And then I also need the height, which is that part of my triangle, not the hypotenuse. That the height always goes up and down. Think about how, if I ask you what's your height, is how tall you are when you're standing straight up and down, not like this, right? So the hypotenuse is not my height. The height is the one straight up and down, all right? And that we just found is also 10, all right? Now to find let's actually get, and then for the bottom rectangle, I have that's 8, and then that's 4. Okay, so that is the for each of the shapes. Now, again, what I did, I actually kind of got ahead of myself because we had just done area, jumped straight into area. To find the perimeter, all we got to do is just add up all the sides. Okay, so I've set up how to find the area. Now, to find the perimeter, we just need to go back and add up all of the sides. Okay, so let's we have everything we need. Let's go ahead and do perimeter first. Okay, so perimeter, this side is 14. Okay, this side is 8. This side is 4. This side is 11.7. And then this top side is 2. So for the perimeter, when I add up all of those, I'm going to get 39.7 centimeters. Okay. And then for area, I broke my shape into 3 sections, or 3 different shapes: rectangle, triangle, and another rectangle. So now I just use my formula, substitute them in. So length is 2, width is 10. Okay, 2 times 10 is 20. Okay, so that's 20. Okay, formula for triangle is 1/2 times the base, which is 6, times the height, which is 10. Okay. 1/2 times 3, times 6 is 3. 3 times 10 is 30. Okay, so area of that one is 30. Okay, that's the inside of my triangle. And then the area of my rectangle at the bottom is length times width. That's 8 times 4. When I multiply that, that's going to give me 32. So now I just need to add each of these pieces together, right? So area of each of those pieces is 20 plus 30 plus 32. When I add up all of those, that is going to give me 30, that's 62, 82. And area is in centimeters squared. Okay. All right. Okay. So that is for those two examples. Now, let me walk you through the next two, because these are different. And why are they different? It's because there is a circle, all right, or a semicircle involved here, okay? So now, all right, to find the perimeter, okay, I'm going to find the missing sides. This is 12, okay? Now, for this one, I got this half a circle, and to find the perimeter of half a circle, or for the circle, it is the circumference, okay? So I have to use my circumference formula to figure out what this part of the circle is, okay? So circumference is pi times the diameter, okay? The diameter is from one side of the circle to the other side, all right? The radius is when it's half of that, okay? So because I'm given my diameter, I'm going to use pi over times d, okay? So what I'm going to do, pi is 3.14 times d, which is 10, okay? That's going to give me 31.4. Now here's the deal, okay? When I do that, that gives me the outside of an entire circle, okay? But here's the deal. Don't write this down. I don't have this entire circle right there, but I do have it at the bottom. So do I need to have, again, it would also be this outside here, but do I have that piece? Yes, I do, because it's just shifted down to the bottom. So even though when I use the circumference formula, it gives me the outside of the entire circle, because the rest of the circle is at the bottom, I don't need to do anything to this, okay? So in other words, if I wanted to find just half of this, then I would take half of that, all right? And I would get 17.2, right? Or something like that. Not 17, but because I have this other piece at the bottom, that is going to give me outside of that and the outside of that. So to find the perimeter now, I'm going to do 31.4 plus, you know what, let me just go ahead, since I'm going to have to do the semicircle over here, because this is only half of the circle, I'm going to take this and I'm going to divide it by 2. And that's going to give me the circumference of half of the circle, okay? So 31.4 divided by 2 is 15.7, okay? So 15.7 is the outside. Again, I took that, divided it by 2 because I have half of it. But then I also have another half down there. So this is 15.2, the outside of that. The outside of this circle is 15.2. Then 12 and 12. So I'm going to do 12 plus 15.2 plus 12 plus 15.2. And so that gives me my perimeter. All right, so I add that up. And that gives me, let me see, 31.4 plus, Yeah, so that gives me 55.4. All right. Now, for the area, okay, I got to break it down. What are the shapes I have? Well, I have this rectangle, okay, and I have half a circle up here, but I also have the other half of the circle down there. So I have the whole circle, okay? So I have a circle and a rectangle, okay? Now, for my rectangle, I have the width is 12, and then the length is 10, okay? Because this is 10, this is also 10, all right? For the circle, my diameter is 10, all right? So what formulas do I need? Well, for rectangle, it is area equals length times width. Let me go back again. Go back to my formula sheet for circle. The area of a circle, area equals pi r squared. Okay. So to find the area of the rectangle, I'm just going to do 10 times 12. Okay, and that gives me 120. So the area of that is 120. Now, the area of the whole circle is pi times r squared. Well, I have the diameter. The diameter is all the way from one side to the other. Well, the radius is just half of that. Okay, so to find the radius, I just got to take half of 10, which is 5. So I'm going to do 3.14 times 5 squared. And then when I do that, so I'll get 3.14 times 25. All right, and then 3.14 times 25. It's oh, sorry, ladies and gentlemen. It is 78.5, and that is for both of these. So that's the inside of this and that one. So the area here is 78.5. If I wanted to know what one piece was, then I could just divide this by 2, right? I would divide it by 2, and this would be, 39.25, 39.25 inside, right? But I got the whole circle here, okay? So I'm just going to add 78.5, sorry, 78.5 plus 120, okay? 120 plus 78.5, and that gives me 198. Yeah, 198.5. So 198.5, and that is meters squared. All right. Okay, for this last one. All right. Go ahead and find the perimeter, add up all the sides, okay? And then find the area of, again, when I break this up, I'm gonna have a half of a circle and then a rectangle, all right? So I'm gonna let you try this one on your own, okay? This one isn't as hard as the other ones, and I've showed you how to do it. So I want you to try this one on your own. If you have any questions, please, one, refer back to the notes, look at your formulas sheet, look back at the steps I gave you, but then also, look at the previous problems, and then I'll give you the answers. That way you can check it, but you need to make sure for your notes complete, you need to make sure that you have the work for all of these. The work for the entire problem. All right, so the answer for the perimeter is going to be centimeters, and then the area is 114.24 centimeters squared. Again, for the sake of time, hey, those are the answers. Now, I want you to see if you can go back and solve it yourself to determine what the answer is. Hey guys, I know that was a lot. Thank you for bearing with me. If you made it to the end, good job. Hey, we're gonna do some practice on how to do these. Yes, there's a lot of steps, but so it's gonna really be important that you actually try these on your own and apply the concepts that you learn. All right. So In this, you found how to find the area and the perimeter. Perimeter being the outside, area is the inside. Break that shape down, find each of the pieces, add them all up, and that's all you got to do. Peace.